back to the Rewritten Podcast, the place where we talk about rewriting the rules, the stories we've told ourselves, and sometimes the entire system.
So this one's going to be a bit spicy, isn't it? We're actually going there. We're going to the moon and back, or are we?
Or are we? Yeah, we are going there. Conspiracy theories, COVID, we're going there. Labelling, censorship, all of it. Let's just have an honest, messy, curious conversation. There's no agenda. It's just what has come up for us. And we've been constantly talking about stuff like this for years.
But first, right, before we get into this, quick shout out to our sponsor of this episode.
I know, shock horror. It's actually my real job. Thank you.
You have one. You have one. So it turns out that Lisa doesn't just sit around drinking herbal tea, manifesting and saging everywhere. She runs the IPHM, the International Practitioners of Holistic Medicine.
I do. We're the go-to accreditation board for coaches, holistic therapists, healers and training providers who want to show that they work to high standards.
So if you've got a wellness business or you run courses in things like Reiki, coaching, nutrition, breathwork, and you're not accredited,
what are you even doing? Hello. Accreditation shows that you're credible, professional and serious about what you offer, and it helps clients and students trust you as well.
So a massive thanks to IPHM for sponsoring this and proving that Lisa does in fact have a proper job.
Thank you. Head over to iphm.co.uk to find out more, and we'll drop the link in the show notes as well. So, Alex, let's get into it. What have we been up to this week? We've seen each other this weekend, Friday.
Yeah, we have. And we get 3 more opportunities this week. And I can't believe I'm more excited to see you 3 times this week than I am on my first date with my husband.
No way, not your first date. Absolutely. Although I don't get excited at first dates. I get more nervous than excited. So yeah, I'll give you that. I reckon it's more exciting than first dates with your husband.
It really is. It really is. So yeah, we went on Friday. So just 4 or 5 days ago, we went to the Farm Club in Knutsford, Pickmere, and we had a sunset dip with yoga and breathwork. And I don't even know who I am, because I'm about to say it was amazing.
It was so, you know what? I did really enjoy it. There was times where it felt like a little bit speed yoga and speed, like it felt, you know what? I think it was in my head though before, because one of the girls who we went with said, I've been before and sometimes they're a little bit rushy. And as she said it, the guy came and he rushed us all and he was like, right, come over here, out of the way there. And I just was like, oh, okay.
Don't you tell me what to do.
I struggled with it. We'll probably get into that today, but I did really struggle with it wasn't a lovely welcome. It was, I do this every day, shift out of the way, get over there really quick. And it just made me think, I suppose when we were on about the last podcast, things that piss us off, that is one of them. I know you do it every day, but it's our first ever time and I'd really like a lovely welcome, please.
And it's probably going to come up in this episode about going against what people tell us to do, because we do that a lot. But the actual experience, I've got to say, I've done yoga once and it was like 25 years ago. What I found was I actually loved it. I thought she was really good. What I did find hard, though, was trying to follow her at that pace, because it was my first time. There was quite an assumption, even though she said... Yeah, even though she said you might not have done this before and just do it yourself at whatever pace, and she was very good at that, there was quite an assumption that we'd know what a downward dog is or a child's pose is.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
If I'd have taken Rob to that, he would have really struggled because he wouldn't have known that. But because we've done exercise before and done bits of it was, but I thought that, I was like, I'm all right because I've done yoga classes before. So I felt like in a good position. You know what it felt like? I had some incredible, beautiful moments there. The weather was perfect because it was all outside. The views were amazing. The way she stood on like a little stage in front and she had a microphone. It felt like weirdly, really futuristic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like something out of Black Mirror, like us all
I know exactly what you mean, but I don't know why.
Yeah, it just felt really Black Mirror-y. Like we all did the yoga, and then another girl came out and did the breath work with us, which was really, it was really lovely.
I'd like that to be longer and deeper, if I'm honest.
It was a gentle breath work but I don't think they could go into the deep breath work in that environment, because you do need to be aware of the people and how deep it can be and the emotions that can come up.
Yeah.
And that was very lacking in that. It was like everybody knows what they've done and there was no warning for that. Whereas when you go to...
There was no trigger warning, was there?
No, and when you go to like breathwork, it can... Like the first time I ever did it was a really deep one with... I can't remember what they're called, and I'd love to have given them a plug then because they are so good. But Miranda and Sam.
Who came to RB Wild, Craig's friends?
No, Miranda and Sam, he came on our podcast, Sam, on the Be Sober podcast.
Well, did they do cold water dips?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you mean, but I can't remember that. Breatholution, was it?
No, I don't think it was. I can't remember the name.
I know you mean. It was on our last, but I do know you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the first time I ever did it with them, it was really deep.
I think we do need a shout out.
I absolutely bawled my eyes out. It was really, really emotional, but they were really aware that could happen. So they was really good at kind of like letting you know that could happen and giving you the time afterwards to...
They're called the breath connection.
Breath connection, yeah. That's it.
Breathconnection.org if you're interested, and it's Sam and Miranda.
They're amazing. They do it for like the police now and stuff like that. So it's really, really, it's good getting it out there and things like that. Yeah, they do. Bloody need it.
Did they do ass kicking as well?
What?
Did they do any ass kicking as well? Because I reckon the police need a bit of that as well.
No, but even just getting them to breathe and take a minute before, like, I had a bit
before of a... Before they arrest you for saying something you're not allowed to say.
Yeah, my friend's daughter got pulled the other day by the police. Like they were pulling loads of different people, and she got pulled and they was like, where are your glasses? And she's like, what do you mean? They said on your license it says that you should wear glasses. They'd pulled her for a reg or something and then obviously checked, and she was like, I've never worn glasses. So they was like, well, you'll have to get in touch with the DVLA and tell them. And I'm like, really? All the stuff that's going on right now, like, can we actually... And it frustrates me. Like, police, I used to feel when I was younger that I felt like the police were there to protect us. And I do
or to search you because you were carrying cannabis, but they at least were doing that job.
Yeah, but I did feel like that protection side. Did you? Like, we used to have that local Bobby with the big moustache.
The handlebars man.
Yeah. And everybody knew him, but it felt like they were there. So when you got told off as kids for being in the wrong place, for me, he was protecting the neighbourhood and stopping people feeling uncomfortable. Whereas now I feel like they sit there, wait for the crime to happen, and then maybe do the job.
Maybe turn up.
Or don't even turn up. Like, but then you're driving down and they're like, where's your glasses? It says...
Well, like, that thing, wasn't there, in the paper, actually? Well, paper, I say paper, the news, online. And I can't even remember where it was now. But that woman and her daughter, and the daughter was a teenager, both found dead in their in a flat, and it was 3 days after she'd phoned 999 that she died, and it was weeks before they found their bodies. They were just left. Like, what the hell is happening when somebody phones 999 in a crisis? Why are we not checking that out? What is going on?
There's no way. I feel like we're at that time, aren't we, where I would just, and this is my genuine reaction to that, if something was to happen, No, I hate saying stuff like that. Touch all the wood. Touch all the wood. I don't really see the point in phoning 999 and reporting. Well, it's just, I feel like you're just doing it just to put a report in, but actually nothing really comes of it. Whereas when I was younger, if you rang 999, it meant that somebody came to you really quick. You'd ring them and you'd say, please, please. And then they'd be like, they'd come round the corner and they'd be there. Same with an ambulance. I feel like it'd be quicker to jump in the car and get someone. Like ambulance, I remember my grandma falling and she was hours and hours. Yeah. I sat with her on a floor for hours and hours and hours waiting for the ambulance.
It used to be minutes, didn't it? They used to have to be there within 4 minutes or it was considered a failure and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know whether it's overpopulation or whether it's under-resourcing or a combination of both.
But if it's overpopulation, is there not more people doing them roles? Like, I just don't get it. I just find it. I feel like where we are in our world now is like, as if we've gone right back, but then I look back and it was actually better back. So it's not like we've gone back. Does that make even sense?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's like this is how it should have been in the past when we didn't have the technology we've got, but it wasn't. Yeah. It was actually far better.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to move on from this a little bit because I owe you a massive public apology.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to know I've already apologised directly to the people who witnessed my complete denial of this situation, right? And then I'm going to explain it to you. So last December, and I checked it out last December, we had a discussion in one of our chats for Be Sober that was about people.
You've gone back to the chat, haven't you? That's why you've
Yeah. I have, because I knew I was going to do this apology. So I've made sure I've researched it properly. But basically, we had this conversation around one of our members having so many cardigans. And somebody wrote, how many cardigans have you got, Alex? And I said, I'm proud to say 0. And a little while later, at some point, you go, well, you've definitely got one.
We were doing a quiz. It was a quiz.
Yeah, there was quizzing and we were in the answers. So I was 0 and you were like 2 or something. And I was like, nope, I've not got any. And you were like, well, what about that white one? So I was like, well, that's not even a cardigan anyway, because it doesn't have buttons or a zipper. So that was my first mistake, because you then proved that wrong. You sent me, and I admitted this at the time, you then sent me a full description of what a cardigan can be. Don't have to have fasteners. It don't have to have zippers. Don't even have to be made of wool. It just has to cover you and go over your clothes. So that was my first mistake.
This is my stubborn-ass research, and I love that this is coming up today on this podcast.
So I apologise back then about the fact that I said it wasn't a cardigan. So we're clear with that. But I then said, anyway, I don't have it anymore. I've got rid of it. And genuinely, I thought I had got rid of it with a dress.
And we said you went as far to say that you gave it away because I also did research. You gave it away.
I gave it with charity with the dress, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and I can tell you the dress I gave it away with. This is clearly in my mind. It's a blue and pink, very tight summer dress. And I gave it away because my shape's changed, except I didn't. I haven't even given the dress away, Lisa. So I haven't. So on Sunday morning, I was in my wardrobe and my daughter's just been given 2 long cardigans, and it wasn't cold, but I wanted something over the top. Anyway, I'm rummaging around. I'm in her wardrobe. I found this green khaki one, first of all, and I thought, does this go? And then I was in my wardrobe and I thought, I've got to have something else. I've got to have anything. Shall I wear my denim jacket? Anyway, as I'm pulling my denim jacket out, and which I wear all the time, and I only have it on last week, I noticed on the back of the wardrobe, just hanging down, the cardigan and the dress on a hanger together, hanging off half the coat hanger. So I have it. So
knew you had that cardigan.
Honest to God, I'd have let you search my wardrobe. I promise you, I was that adamant.
You should have done. You should have done. I knew inside that you had it. It was such a frustrating time for me, this. Like, I don't think people understand. This is why it's perfect for this episode, because I was so frustrated because I knew you had that cardi, right? And it was really
truthfully going, No, but I genuinely wasn't gaslighting you. I fully believed it. But I have to admit one other thing.
So and obviously people would believe you because it's your card in your wardrobe. So why on earth would they think I would know that?
I believed me too, right? So the thing that I've got to confess to is when I was trying to think about giving it away originally, so back in December when I first said, no, I've given it away to charity, I genuinely believed I'd given it away, right? But I couldn't think why. So do you know what I did? And I wasn't going to confess this. There was no need. But I have to confess it now because I found the comment that I made. So in the comments, I say, yeah, it made me look like a polar bear. And I want you to know that was a hindsight comment because at the time when I was thinking, why did I give that away? Because I quite liked it. I went back and looked at some photos and found myself an excuse for why I gave it away and went, oh, I look like a polar bear anyway. So I never gave it away for that reason. I just thought I'd use that. So that was a little bit of a lie, that one. But anyways, turned up. I've got it. I wore it on Sunday. I'm dead chuffed. And I'm going to put the dress on as well in the summer when it gets warmer again, because I like that and all. So it won't be going anywhere.
When you messaged me on Sunday and you was like, I've got a confession, I've got a public apology to make. I don't know why. And I do think it has a lot to do with my ADHD-ness, this, right? Because I always have this like internal feeling that I'm in trouble for something. So like when you said I've got a public apology, it made me really nervous. And I was like, oh, I was anxious. What? And I had like secondhand anxiety for you having to apologise about something.
I didn't want to confess it. I was like, oh, shall I just not wear it? I honestly went through this whole scenario of, if I just get rid of it, she'll never know. And then, oh, but I want to wear it. Well, if I wear it, I've got to tell her. Oh, I'll have to just tell her. I went through this whole...
Yeah, I get it. Well, I was like, when you sent it, and then literally after you'd sent it, I saw your videos on social media because you'd done a video, which, by the way, I thought was really good. It was really lovely. Alex did some videos on her Instagram, and it was like her morning, going to church and behind the scenes, really, of her playing the organ, and it was dead good. I loved it, and I meant to actually message her, but I was so in the party zone, right? I was like, hang on a minute. She's messaged me, and these videos are now already on social media. So me knowing you thinks, hang on a minute. She thinks I'm going to see this video, I'm going to spot the cardie, and then I'm going to say, I knew you had that cardie. So that is why you confessed, because you realised. So I thought she's had it, she's been wearing it, and then she thought, oh shit, I've shown everybody on social media that I'm wearing it. So now I'm going to have to confess to Lisa that I had that cardie. So I still have a little thing that you knew before Sunday.
No, I promise you. No, I didn't know before.
I feel like you'd been trying it and that. Like when I was looking,
no, it was on the
I was like, that don't look creased on you on the video.
It doesn't crease. If you see the material, I can show you. I'm going to show you tomorrow so you understand. It don't crease. You can actually roll it in a ball at the bottom of your bag, number one. But genuinely, if you look at my posting times, I will give you my meta passwords. You will see I actually messaged you way before I posted anything.
But you'd worn it.
Oh, no.
And you knew you were going to post it. That's what I thought. I was like, she knows she's videoed this, and it's like...
I got it. I got it out, and I thought, and I knew I was going to do the videos, but I got it, and I thought, oh, shit, shall I just not wear it? And then I thought, oh, no, I'm going to wear it, and I'll just tell her. But then when you said it to me, I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe I've confessed. I should have just got rid of it. Because she don't even believe me anyway. So then I was like, oh, what's the point? So I was massively like, oh. But anyway... Why is it even such a big deal? It's my cardigan. I found
You know what? I think this is what I keep saying. I think it's a big deal. And I think this is what we're going to talk about today with conspiracy theories, right? And for you and for me, like when you have an inkling that something feels a little bit off, whatever it is, and it becomes a big deal. And I think this happens a lot in the world with conspiracy theories and stuff. So, and we'll talk about all of them, but even with the COVID time, it's that knowing that something's wrong, but you can't kind of prove it, but you've got that and it becomes a big deal because it's affecting you and you're saying one thing and somebody else is saying another thing and you really believe your thing and you can find a million things to make your points, the other person can find a million things to make their points. Do you know what I mean? Like you going saying I look like a polar bear and me searching back and then like going finding the dictionary definition of what a cardigan is because you're then saying it's not a cardigan. Like, what the fuck is wrong with us?
And the thing is about the whole thing here is we both got anxious unnecessarily because literally, oh shit, Lisa, I found my cardigan. I'm really sorry. I'm going to wear it today. Oh, all right then. That is it.
Maybe it's that like inner like wanting to be right, like or wanting to prove to other people that we are right in some way. Yeah. Like I wanted to prove that I knew you had that cardigan. You wanted to prove that you didn't have that cardigan. Yeah. And then because things change and opinions change and the world moves on and blah, 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 sometimes we've got to go like, oh my God, there it is. Actually, I thought it was this, but it's this. Do you know what I mean? It's such a good analogy. I'm excited.
That is a good analogy, and I want to take this to somewhere now. And this is the problem, I believe, at the minute with modern science and modern world. So let's just go back. So this is a really nice way to get into this. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can feel everybody now tensing up, Lisa, as I start this.
Definitely like, what are they going to say?
I know, like, oh, something's getting labelled.
It'll be us that gets cancelled. Just come and find us somewhere else. Knock on our door if you want to chat.
Yeah, we'll tell you all about it in real life. And then if we don't get arrested by the invisible police force. Anyway.
We
could do. So the thing is, this is my opinion now. Years and years and years ago, let's go right back to as far back as Darwin and Lamarck, right?
Yeah.
So, they both argued different things about evolution. And they are theories. They're still theories because you can't fully prove them.
Yeah.
But a theory is ever evolving and it ever finds new evidence to consolidate it. So what was once accepted about giraffes and their necks got thrown away as that can't be true anymore. Darwin then comes up with his theory of evolution and it becomes widely accepted by the scientific community. Now, the problem with modern science is, and back then everybody was willing to say, I'm wrong and here's why I'm wrong, or you're wrong and here's why you're wrong. But I feel now, and back to the cardigan, people don't want to be wrong. People don't want to be publicly wrong. We've now said that humans have been around for however long they've been around. I don't actually know the figure. But when somebody comes along and says, actually, they've been around far, far longer, all these books have now been written and nobody wants to go, oh, let's have a little look at this new evidence. So they just go, no, you're lying. It's wrong. What I say is the truth.
Frustrating. And I like this. And I suppose because you have studied science, and I think, like you said, every science is all based on theory.
Yeah.
It starts as a theory until there's evidence.
But even then, a lot of things will never be fact. For example, the Big Bang Theory, we can't go back in time and decide whether God created the earth or whether a bang created the earth or whether God created the bang that created the earth. We can't go back. So a lot of this is never going to be proven. Therefore, we have to, as a population and as a world, be open to suggestion and change.
Yeah, I think that's what I really struggle with. And I think that's what I've struggled with over the last few years. And especially when we talk about the COVID times, which we have all gone through and we all know, and everybody listening, you, me, everybody will have their own opinion on things like that. Do you know what I mean? And I forgot, I'm so menopausal, I think.
Let's just generalize it before we go into COVID. Like, what is a conspiracy theory? When we say conspiracy theory, what are we saying? Are we saying it's things that are really made up and out there? Or are we saying more like, well, it's something that we believe is the real truth that doesn't want to be confessed to? Or are we saying there's hidden agendas?
I think a conspiracy theory and the wording around conspiracy theory is just, I just feel like it's a really easy way to kind of shut people up and I feel like they've been labelled as crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's done. I personally think it is done purposely. That conspiracy theorists are labelled as crazy people. They're labelled crazy in films, you know, like they put them in the tinfoil hats and stuff like that. And I just think that word conspiracy theory instantly, no matter where you are, it instantly discredits what that person's saying.
So if we go back to COVID, right? So at the time, for about a week, I was terrified, right?
Yeah.
Turn the news on, could see people dropping down dead in Italy, dropping down dead in China, terrified it was coming here, terrified. And then I started to question it and think, well, why are those people in July, as it moved on, still in winter coats? What's going on here? Why have we got people in Italy in the middle of summer in winter coats dropping down dead? And I know that's small, but I wouldn't have a winter coat on now in this country, even though it's not particularly warm. So why is it? It was little things like that didn't add up to me. Now, I think there were different reasons. So depending on who you spoke to, some people were saying COVID's completely made up. It's not even real. Some people were saying COVID's man-made and it's been released from a lab. Some people were saying COVID's man-made so that they can give you an injection to put a microchip in your arm so they know where you are. Some people were saying COVID's man-made so they can get everybody's identities. There were different versions of why it wasn't a real pandemic.
You know what got me thinking in them times, or very like similar to you, is I really struggled with that there was putting death counts on our TVs, and I felt instantly that they were trying to put fear into people. Like it felt very much like the media was putting fear into people, and my instinct, and I didn't know why, I just had this feeling, and it annoys me, like sometimes having this gut feeling, because I'm not I'm not academic as such. So I had to do a lot of researching in these times to kind of try and find answers to why I was feeling like I did about stuff. But one of the things that was highlighted to me really early on is that anybody that was saying anything against what was being put on our TV, so any other theories, other doctors that were coming out, other scientists that were coming out on social media, they were being banned. There were posts being taken down. They were literally removed. They were publicly shamed. There was these fact checkers all over social media.
Yeah, like Mary from down the road. Mary.
Everything was being fact checked and put, and it felt very much like we were being pushed to see only one way. Police. Yeah, and I feel like I've always been so inquisitive, but it just, and I needed to know why. I'm like, hang on a minute, why? Like, let's talk. It just, and I, like you, the first week, I got all the Dettol out, I was doing my door handles,
I was shopping bags.
Yeah, and one of the things I massively struggled with, and I still don't speak to people now on social media due to COVID times, and me trying, I suppose, back then to outwardly ask questions, and those people who were firmly believing what was on the telly, telling me how stupid I was, telling me that I should be doing this. You must get vaccinated because you'll kill my granny. You must wear a mask to protect all these other people. And I'm like, hang on a minute. You was on last week saying, why are people wearing masks? I'm a dental nurse and they don't actually stop this happening. It's just to stop the blood splattering. It's not a bit. And I'm like, so you were saying that last week, but because now it's on your television, you're now telling people they're thick and stupid because they're not wearing one. And I just found how people were as well with each other so upsetting, and it made me see people in a very different light. It just shows you how history,
I mean, I don't want to talk in detail about wars and things like that because I truthfully don't know enough, but it does show you how Germans turned on Germans, Jewish people turned on Jewish people back in the war to keep themselves safe. And I'm not making a judgment there, but you can see how that happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it's a much larger scale, but you can see how from fear, people are making decisions they wouldn't ordinarily make. That's what I'm saying. Now, let's just go back to COVID a second. So I outright had an argument, and I'm sure you'll remember this online, on Facebook with somebody who I grew up with.
Yeah.
And basically, I had shared a post about masks not working, right? And I fucking stand by this, right? Because I have got the scientific insight. Unless you are wearing a high-grade surgical mask, and even then it's questionable, a viral particle, you might as well be throwing a golf ball, a viral particle, at an open goalpost and going, wear your goalpost and it'll protect you. Because the holes in these masks that people were wearing and the homemade knicker masks that everyone were wearing, they're not the holes in them are, honest to God, scale-wise, like an open goalpost and a marble. Right? That's how easily it was. Yeah. That was my first argument. I was like, these masks are not going to protect me. And my second argument was, why are you concerned with me protecting my lungs?
Yeah.
If you're wearing a mask and you fully believe that COVID can't get in or out, what does it matter what I'm doing? Because I'm not going to wear a mask, and I didn't, not once, not in a hospital.
Do you know what?
Anywhere.
Let's talk about that, because it was a really difficult time for us as non-mask wearers, and we did actually have to cover this up from our members at the time of like the Be Sober and stuff, because there were so many different opinions flying about. And I always, even now, I am so grateful that you and I were very much on the same page from day one of all this going on, because the fallouts that I've seen people have on, you know, like, and I'm so glad. And I'm also so glad that we were sober at this time. Because
and standing by it no matter what, we just didn't allow ourselves to be swayed, did we?
No, and it wasn't in like a way of like, we're right, you're wrong. I understood why people did it. I understood that people were frightened. On their tellies every single day, it's telling you how many people are dying.
Breaking news.
Yeah, and these people with breathing difficulties and underlying conditions and illnesses, and the fear was everywhere, and it made people react in ways. But for me, I'm watching people, and like, I remember just thinking, like, the world has gone mad. Like, do you remember having that moment of like, what, the world's gone mad? People, I was watching people walk up the street outside on their lawn
over
with masks on, and because probably they were so frightened not to do. And there's no judgment on that, but I just remember thinking, have we lost all fucking logic? Like,
I had an argument with the head teacher of my son's primary school at the time. So at the time he was in nursery when it started, and there's a 2.5 metre wide alleyway that belongs to the council that leads up to the school gates on one entrance.
I remember this. I remember it.
And you were only allowed to walk down it into the school, and then you had to walk all the way around the outside with your mask on. By the way, you had to wear a mask. I didn't. And then you had to leave through the main school gate. And I continued to use it as two-way. And one of the people actually assaulted me by terms. Well, it was more my husband. Her arm went out and grabbed us to stop us walking, one of the staff. And she said, do not go that way. And I said, get your hands. My husband was like, get your hands off me. Get your hands off me. Don't touch me. And that, you know, like, who do you think you are? You're frightened of COVID, but you're touching me instead of letting me walk in an outdoor space. And I get it. I do get it. There were people there who were immunocompromised. There were people there with cancer. Of course, they were made to feel afraid. But come on, guys, we're walking around with coughs and colds and chicken pox and all sorts of things that can kill anybody, by the way, if they are immunocompromised. But all of a sudden we're going, hang on a minute, this one virus we have to double up for. And it was just irrational.
It was irrational.
2 meters was a made-up number. Who said the virus can't be 2 meters apart? They put glass screens up in doctor surgeries, and you were allowed to sit in your little cubicle with an open front. These are airborne particles. And there's an air conditioning unit. there's an air conditioning unit cycling my air. It's going around. What the hell are you doing putting me in a box? You've gone mental.
I know. I just found it was so difficult, and it was really hard because we had like that inner like feeling and what we felt as a knowing that this was off and this is not right. And masks genuinely for me made me anxious. I've never felt anxiety like it before. It wasn't to me about just being stubborn and I'm not wearing one, but actually also I am very like that. Don't fucking tell me what to do. Like, I'm not wearing one. It was a mixture.
The more I dug in.
Oh yeah, it was a mixture of both. It was, but I remember sat outside, right, a supermarket on my own, knowing that I was going to go in and prove my point that I was not wearing a mask. And the anxiety of not wearing one was just as much as the anxiety of wearing one, but because I knew that I would be judged, I would be looked at, people, and the comments people had during that time, because I wouldn't wear a mask, there were people on Facebook calling people dirty. They were calling them dirty because they weren't wearing a mask, yet they're wearing a skanky mask that they've had for 3 days. You can see the muck on it.
And what about the people who wore them half on? Half on, so they had the nose out but the mouth in, right?
Yeah.
Or they would go and put it back on again.
Oh, what about these?
Lift it down.
What about the restaurants, right, where you can sit and eat, but you've got to put a mask on to walk to the toilet?
Walking in and out. It was mental. And the thing is that we bought it, and I swear to you, I'm not criticising anyone who did this. And still, if you did it and you chose to do it, that's your choice. And I do not.
But that is the point, isn't it? I think, because I think theories and all of this leads, and I really believe, hand on heart, that you can be to judge one way or another. Like for me, it was always about informed choice and us having a choice. And I think what they tried to do, and I do believe that it was about control and compliance. And I think you are filling people with fear. You're literally putting on the telly. The flu numbers absolutely were zero at this point. People only died of COVID. And I remember having these conversations of going, but flu's disappeared. And they were like, well, yeah, because of COVID. And I'm like, well, do you not think them numbers
dying in car accidents, Lisa, people dying in car accidents with COVID were counted as a COVID statistic, right? And all death. So if you died and you tested positive, or you'd gone on that track and trace, which I didn't download either.
No,
if you'd gone on that, you were a COVID statistic if you died with COVID. Because at first they said died of COVID, and then when the conspiracy theorists like us jumped in, they changed it to died with COVID. I stand by two things about the vaccine and about masks. My body, my choice. Don't go arguing for abortion laws on my body, my choice, and then tell me I've got to wear a mask.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry, my body, my choice. If I choose to be in a room full of people with COVID without a mask, the only person getting sick, if you believe your masks work and your vaccines work,
it's you.
If you believe that, the only person at risk is me. And I mean, some of the comments were disgusting. Don't treat anybody for COVID if they don't wear a mask. If they're not vaccinated,
I think that's what really got me at them times, and it really upsets me now, is seeing how people were with each other. Like, and
it was horrible.
It was really horrible, and I witnessed it. Not just
both ways, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Non-mask wearers were vile to mask wearers, calling them sheeple. They were, and I was probably one of those people, not outwardly in public, but I was kind of. I had this little inner knowing of, look at all them idiots wearing their masks, and here's me. I'm big and hard and brave. I did have that for a bit of arrogance.
I think I just felt for like everybody in this situation. I felt that, like, I felt really grateful that I did have an inner knowing, and I was and you know what, I think sometimes seeing everything, like people used to think it was easy, right? And I remember having a conversation with a friend, and I'm like, you're going to wear that mask to go to the shop, but why? It's not doing anything, it's just easier, in it. And that got me, because I felt like,
because a lot of people didn't want the vaccine or the mask, they just did it because it was easier.
They just did it because it was easier, and I really struggled with that, because I thought, but like, stand up for yourself. If you're doing it because you're scared, you're frightened, you believe it works, you know what, then do it. But I really struggle with it's easier. It saves people saying anything. It don't, like, no, like all like people not burn their bras, right? For us to go, it's easier, let's just do as we're told.
But this is but this is a little bit like the right to vote, right? So you're talking about burning bras, so I'll bring that in. You know, like, just because we have the right to vote, we don't have to vote. Right?
Yeah, that is true. A choice, personal choice.
Personal choice. So really, if we're going to be balanced about it, if people didn't want to stand up for their rights, that's their choice as well. And sometimes
I get that. It's just it just felt so frustrating to me, and it really did. And you know what? I am actually really proud of myself and the people around me at the time of COVID. Not for being rebels, and I know, like, there would have been people that knew, thought, she's just being a rebel, and you know, like, and it wasn't about that. It was about standing up for what I believed in, and I'm glad that I can look back and say I stood up for what I believed in. You know what? I can say I'm glad that going to a protest was always on my bucket list, but it had to be something that I was really passionate about, and I went to nearly all of the protests around COVID in London. I got the train with a load of other conspiracy nuts, as people would like to call them, and we sang, and it was fun. It was amazing. We sang all the way there, and we marched, and none of it was actually on the news. And I watched things with my own eyes. I watched a beautiful, peaceful protest with thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and I think the paper said hundreds, like, because they didn't want. There was a million people at that protest, Lisa, that you went to. Yeah, and I watched them, and you know what? Everybody was peaceful and lovely and nice, and I watched with my own eyes, Alex. There was a scientist that had been flown in from Germany to tell people about what he had found. And when he came on with the mic to tell these millions of people, the police, with all the, like, whatever they use, all the, what's it called? Batons and what have you, they charged that protest and they took him off that stage. And everybody, as far as my eye could see, sat down. Nobody did a thing. It was a thing that anything happens, we know what is going on at this time, and everybody sat down
to prove that they'd not instigated it.
Yeah. Well, and then I watched the front of the newspapers showed, and it was not true. It was not true. I was there. It was my own eyes. And in that moment, I thought, hang on a minute, what? Like, why? I didn't understand really why it was all going on anyway, but then to watch something and see it be portrayed as something else, and then watch people that I know commenting on these idiots, these absolute, like, oh, they wouldn't be saying that if their family were dying, and kind of like, and everybody I met at them protests were doing it because they felt it was to protect themselves and their family.
They had actors, and this has now also been proven that they did have paid actors, and they appeared in more than one headline in different scenarios. The same person, slightly differently disguised, instigating the violence with the police, and they were paid opposition. Yeah.
And they do that. I want to talk about what's coming to light, actually.
Before you just talk about that, let me just say something. I was listening to a podcast the other day where it was a debate about something completely different, but to do with this sort of thing. And one of the people debating was saying, you shouldn't really, or this is how it was interpreted, he wasn't saying this, you shouldn't really be talking about things openly if you're not an expert on it. And the other person was arguing that you don't need to be an authority to talk about something all the time. And there was this conversation going on amongst them. And it was quite interesting to see how the world is being censored and how you're not allowed to talk about that. You're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to say that. And actually, you are allowed an opinion on anything you want. You are allowed, as long as you're not inciting hate or violence or racism or anything like that. Why should you not be allowed to say what you think? Why are words suddenly harmful and damaging? Because even if I'm wrong about COVID and COVID was not a conspiracy and COVID was not a control thing and we should have been wearing masks, how do my words, how do my actions, not wearing a mask, not having the vaccine affect you if those things are so effective? And I'm sorry I sound like a stuck record, but if everybody else is vaccinated, what does it matter? Why will we turn against each other so easily?
It felt, and let's talk about the vaccine for a minute then, because for me, that was something that I was really, really against in them times. Do
you think it was a moneymaker, Lisa, the vaccine? Do you think it was done to make money?
You know what? I feel, I probably do think it was done. I think there were certain people that did that bit to make money. Yes, I do. And I feel like what happened around that time for me is people pushing that vaccine on when there was no way that could have been tested, and like it was too quick. It wasn't a real vaccination as such. It didn't.
It was the mRNA. It was brand new, wasn't it? It wasn't traditional because they've changed the definition of vaccine to allow mRNA vaccines to fit in now in the dictionary. But it wasn't a traditional vaccine. You're right. It didn't instill antibodies. It went as part of your own cell.
Yeah, and I just
would expect COVID to have gone down, and it hasn't. And you would expect flu to go down with the flu jabs, and it hasn't.
Well, somebody was saying about the flu jabs the other day, and I don't know what is true or not on here, but this is just what somebody was saying to me, that like they make the flu vaccine for like the last 3 years flu, if you like. So then you're having a vaccine. Yeah, but then the flu vaccine that you're having is not really to protect you from the next strain or the strain after. So it doesn't make sense to me that. I don't know whether that's just...
It's based on the last strain and a bit of a prediction as well. So they take,
right.
But ultimately, if you go back, and I don't know about this year, but if you go back in history and you look at when the flu vaccine was first introduced, it did not decrease flu cases. It didn't. And for me, if a vaccine's going to work, I want it to stop me getting the thing that they're saying I'm going to get if it's harmful.
Yeah, and I feel like it's important to say I am not against all vaccines, by the way, or all modern medicine. I think we've come a long way, and I think it's amazing, and I do. But what I also feel like is if I am going to have a vaccine, right, I'm not going to be told by everybody else that I'm going to have one. And like we said before, a big thing was you need to have one to protect other people. No, it's not going to protect anyone else. And what was the other one with like it just felt so wrong to me at the time. Like, I just felt like it was not all right to be telling people that they had to have these vaccines. There was talk about the vaccine passports. There were people that lost their jobs, health workers in various countries that lost their job because they refused to have that vaccine. They're all now being reinstated, by the way, and some cases publicly vindicated. Like, it's just so wrong.
The thing is, Lisa, as well, I actually had COVID quite early on. And I know there are some people out there who'll say, no, you didn't because it wasn't real. That was just flu, whatever. But if COVID was real, I had what I believed to be COVID. I had the achy eyes.
I did in January. I was really
I got it. And the thing is, so I was already immune. Why are you trying to make me? I've got antibodies, so I'm already protected. If a vaccine works in that way, don't push it. Let's move off COVID. Let's move off COVID.
Right. Hold on, let me just tell you what's coming to light there, because with COVID, please, because I know they might switch off now, actually, if they're against what we're saying. So for those of you who are still here with us, what is coming now to light is lab leak theory, once labelled a dangerous conspiracy, now acknowledged by multiple governments, including the US, as a plausible explanation for COVID's origin. It was leaked from a lab. The vaccine side effects, while the vaccines were effective at preventing serious illness in most people, some adverse effects, blood clotting, and it's got like brackets with AstraZeneca, and menstrual changes, were initially dismissed or underplayed. Now they are listed in the official documentation and acknowledged by health authorities. Pfizer and Moderna trials, researchers and journalists have since uncovered issues with data transparency, and questions have been raised about the speed and pressure surrounding approval. People, like I just said, doctors, scientists, healthcare workers in various countries are all now those that lost their jobs are being reinstated. The tennis player, Novak
Navratilova.
No, Djokovic.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know tennis. So no.
He was banned from tournaments because.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, he's not been vaccinated, but he's now competing freely and openly celebrated by people. And in Canada and parts of Europe, apologies have been issued to citizens who were punished for refusing mandates. And there's also a doctor that I was reading about the other day in the US who has been pardoned. He was arrested and imprisoned for giving saline instead of the vaccine. That's what he did, and they arrested him, but he has now been pardoned. So I just think a lot of it turns out this conspiracy wasn't what we questioned. It was that we weren't allowed to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't know about you. Well, I do know about you, but we'll say it again as if I don't know about you. What the biggest thing for me in COVID was, that's what got me started.
Yes. So where else did that take us then?
Right. So I'll tell you what I went through. I'm not necessarily going to tell you which ones I believe or don't believe, but I'll tell you the things I researched. I researched fake pregnancies amongst the elite associated with child trafficking. I researched adrenochrome.
Oh, I researched that. We went on a right one with that, didn't we?
I researched satanic rituals amongst Hollywood elite. Yeah. I researched Hollywood and Disney and the problems with child trafficking and pornography. Yeah. I researched the moon landing. I researched aliens. I researched 5G towers. I researched chemtrails from aeroplanes. Yeah. And I researched, dare I say it, flat Earth.
Yeah. Do you know what I found out about flat Earth and round earthers and flat earthers, right? Is that a lot of flat earthers actually went out to prove that the Earth wasn't flat and then became flat earthers.
So there's a guy called Eddie Bravo who is I actually heard him the other day on Joe Rogan's podcast from years ago, and he claimed that nobody starts out as a flat earther, that actually they all believe the Earth is a globe and then they go round. And flat Earth is not flat Earth as you might think. It's not like rolling out a map. It's just that the format is different. So as if you're in a half dome rather than a full circle.
Yeah.
So the Antarctic is on the outside.
About the dome because of rainbows.
Firmament, You know, if you look at the Bible, it calls it the firmament, which is supposedly this glass atmospheric dome. And then you get things like, flight paths. If you look at flight paths, they look like they're in a funny line. But if you roll the Earth out the way a flat earther thinks, it's a straight line with a fuel stop.
It does confuse, like when we don't know, and I think we're not in a position to know all the answers for everything. So I feel like you've just got to go with kind of, you got in a situation, and my gut has like led me to a lot of good things, actually. It's stopped me doing things and it's got me doing things. But I feel like when nobody can what I find crazy is arguments with people like they did go to the moon. No, they didn't go to the moon. Yeah, they did go to the moon because this happened. Well, no, they didn't because of this happened. And why, like we were saying about the cardigan before, we can all find bits that prove our theory to be correct.
It's confirmation bias.
Was you there? Did you see it with your own eyes? No, you didn't. So none of you can really prove it.
And the thing is that confirmation bias means you always find evidence to support your theory anyway, unless you're a complete truthful scientist, which there's not many around. Also, the argument was, because a lot of people will say on a globe, well, if you set off around from a boat, you can end up back where you were by going around the world. But actually, if you look at the way flat Earth is, apart from getting out of the ice wall that they say is there, you can get around everywhere anyway.
Yeah.
And also, why are you not allowed in the Antarctic?
You literally can't get to a certain part. They shoot people down. They literally, if you get so far, they literally shoot people down. And when people ask why is it not on Google Maps or whatever, because there's nothing there. That's the basic answer. There's nothing to see.
Well, how do you know?
I don't know, but in it weird, like certain parts as well are named after big American, like there's a McDonald's Island, and when you look in Antarctica, they've all got names of things like that, like
big
Disney,
big companies,
big franchises and stuff. But I think as well, Alex, like what got us questioning this, I suppose, is when our thoughts on things got them proved to be true. Was that then you realise, hang on a minute, we've been lied to by the people we were supposed to trust, by the government, by all these people. Yeah, and it kind of opens your eyes. And I get why people and conspiracy theorists end up getting labelled as crazy people, because it drives you insane. You go down, but you realise there's probably bits of truth in all of these theories.
Yeah, and the thing is that sometimes asking yourself why would they do that? Why would they bother to?
Yeah, why?
Because that's the thing. Well, why would they bother to fake a flat Earth, like to fake a globed Earth? Why? What's the point in that? I don't have the answer to that, if I'm honest. And actually, I don't really have an opinion either way, whether it's flat or it's not.
But also, why go and try and prove that it's round? It can.
Well, let me just tell you this. As somebody who studied and taught science, it's very much against the grain for me to suggest that it's anything other than a globe, right? It really is. I actually initially looked at it for what you've just said. Well, what else have I been lied to? What else is being labelled as a conspiracy theory that might not be? And I had a bit of fun with it. And I don't know either way what I truly, truly believe, probably because I don't really care that much about it. I don't really have an opinion. However, truth isn't always truth. Facts in hyphenated, inverted commas, speech marks, air commas, facts are not always facts, as we proved ourselves by researching COVID and then it coming out with, actually what you said that we slated you for is the truth. So, you know, it wasn't that long ago where they said, absolutely, aliens are not true. And now everybody's saying, oh, aliens are probably true. Why is that not weird anymore? I think the key is that, like you've just said, nobody knows. However, tell me if you agree with this. I do think there are some people who I know who have gone a little bit too far and are now so far sucked in, they can't see any truth in anything. They believe everything.
Yeah, and I think but I think this is the problem, and I think it's probably why I personally feel that as humans, we do get dumbed down a little bit, and we're fed like all these things to dumb us down, because I do think it would drive you crazy going into it too much. But then I think, like, when you go too far, you've got to kind of pull yourself back and go, you know what? well, this is what I think. What can I do about it? There's nothing I can particularly do about any of these things at this moment.
And do you
know
care
what I mean?
whether it's flat or round?
And you've got to, no, but what I care about is if I'm being lied to or not. And I think that's what I struggle with. And I think that's what other people struggle with is don't feed us information that you don't know is factually correct. And I know that things change. Like once dismissed, but now completely legit is that, Big Tobacco lied about cancer. They lied about cancer for years. Smoking was advertised as safe, healthy, and they suppressed data linking smoking to cancer. That is a fact, right? So I feel like we're being lied to and we're not being told the truth. And the truth needs to be out there. And these people hiding it. And I get why people go crazy because they just want to know the truth. And when you have that kind of there is some people that don't give a shit. They're happy to get up, go to work, come home, have the tea, watch a film, go to bed, watch a bit of curry, and that's fine. And they're really happy with that. But when you're one of them people that are like, but hang on a minute, like, what is this about? Like, there's so many different religions, there's so many different like versions of this life that they expect us to be completely normal in, yet we've been literally lied to, and it's been proved that these people, the CIA and MK Ultra, did you hear about that? Like once everyone thought that like people were just paranoid, right? It was real. The CIA tested mind control and LSD on unsuspecting people. Right, that is now factual. That is what they did. And all them people that were being tested or were saying that this was happening were classed as crazy, were classed as stupid. Like, why would they do that? As if. And there was a guy, Edward Snowden, and in 2013, he was a contractor for the NSA, the National Security Agency in the US, and he leaked a massive amount of classified information that revealed that the US and UK governments were spying on their own citizens and other countries. That was once considered a conspiracy theory, that people were watching us, that like Big Brother was there. And it was like, don't be so stupid. People that used to cover I wanted to do it then, but people that used to cover the cameras up because they'd be like, we're being watched, and you'd be like, oh God, don't be so stupid. That Edward Snowden has proved that was happening. That is true. People work.
Well, we know our phones listen to us because you get shown adverts all the time when you've been talking about something. All of a sudden your Instagram and your Facebook start showing you stuff. Like if you start talking about hair removal, I guarantee in a bit I'll have some advert now in my Instagram that show me the latest Nair or whatever product for hair removal.
That's what I mean. But people like that say this out loud. And even now, you would still be classed to a lot of people as being paranoid. Like there's a lot more people now openly saying, oh, it'll come up on my phone later, because it's so there. But it's been snuck into us in a way that we go, it'll come up on my phone later. Like, hold on a minute. If I'd have said years and years ago, your phones are going to be spying on you, they're going to be listening to you, and then there's like some algorithm that's going to pick up what you're saying to be able to advertise to you the products that you want, you'd be like, why would they want it? We wouldn't have known why back then. Like, we'd have been going, they're spying on us on our phones, and people would be like, why? And I'd be like, well, I don't know why, right? For instance, now we know why. It's to advertise to us. It's to do all them things, yeah? So, yeah, we don't know why that they lie to us about these things, but they've got their reasons.
And they do. My dad years ago, and you might remember this when we were kids, he used to say, one day you'll have a computer that'll fit in your hand and it'll have everything you need at your fingertips. He was basically talking about a smartphone. And I used to laugh at him. Yeah. The computers are massive. I used to laugh at him. Like one in a classroom of 30 to share. Used to laugh at him. Everybody's got a computer in their hand. He was absolutely right.
It's just mad, isn't it? That guy, by the way, Snowden, was charged for leaking that data, and he fled to Russia, and he still lives in exile. And that 2023, by the way, not like 2 years ago. If you want to research some stuff in COVID, I did get into
quite a strange series, an online one, and I can't remember the name of it. Can you remember that 10-part series we both watched with the Dutch woman?
Oh my gosh, no. That seems like so long ago.
Do you remember that? And it was a
rabbit hole, all right, that. It got banned, didn't it?
But it's still out there. It's still out there. You can still get it. But that's all about the government and the CIA and aliens and adrenochrome and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. It brought all those conspiracy theories up and gave you a good grounding. Probably made me a little bit crazy during COVID with nothing better to do.
Do you think they make like conspiracy theorists on movies and TV programs? Like they're always portrayed out there as like unwashed, unhinged, like usually talking to like pigeons or something. Like, do you think they do that on purpose?
Yeah.
And then who's there? That's the question. Who is there?
I don't know who they are.
I don't either.
I'm not sure who they are, but I mean, I'm trying to look on my phone to see if I've got any trace of this series, but I can't remember what it was called. What was it called? If I find it, I'll put it on a future episode, but it had, it was a 10-part series and it was a Dutch woman. And honestly, even though I followed her and wanted to look at it, I thought she was slightly nuts, but I did quite like it.
Right, couple of questions then before we kind of move forward and stuff. Do you think it's more dangerous to blindly trust or to blindly question?
More dangerous to blindly trust, absolutely. And I think this is the problem with schools now, is we're taught a syllabus and we're taught a way of thinking, and young people are losing the ability to be curious and to question because everything's at their fingertips. So we are becoming a little bit brainwashed, a little bit whitewashed, a little bit zombified. We are becoming quite mechanical. I think you should question everything. It don't matter if you're wrong. Question it. What have you got to lose?
Yeah, I really, really think about questioning everything. And I do believe that we get shut down from questioning everything. Schools, you can't question things in schools. I had a conversation with somebody actually at one of an event I went to not long ago, and I was very questionative. That ain't even a word, is it? I was very curious as a child, and I remember being told in a geography class to like stop asking questions, but I was so interested and so involved, I wanted to know more, and because he didn't have the answers, it was like just stop asking the questions. So even back then I found it really hard to be told a narrative and not have the answer. Don't tell me to write this down and tell me it's a fact if you can't answer the other questions around it. I feel that questions are not really allowed to be asked in schools. I think the education system massively, you could do a full podcast on its own on the education system. Maybe we will do, because and I think more and more people now are realising that it is not for their children either. And people from all walks of life, it's just not teaching. It's just feeding us one narrative, and we're being told not to ask questions, and it's frustrating. I don't like it.
I've said it on Be Sober's podcast, but when I first started teaching, we used to teach that Pluto was a planet, and then when they told us stop teaching Pluto as a planet, it's been discovered it hasn't been.
It was on this one, it was with Davinia.
And I've said it many, many times. So, sometimes you're taught things as fact in schools, in colleges, and universities that just aren't facts, because those people have been taught by somebody else who was taught it was fact, and those people have been taught by somebody else that it was fact. And that takes us full circle of science is ever evolving, ever changing. It should be treated as such, should be questioned.
Yeah.
You should always.
And I think people should be more allowed to change their minds as well.
Absolutely. And not be afraid to change their mind. Stop, maybe we always want to be right because of our ego. I don't know, but
it probably is more ego, but it's question things and be open to changing your mind about things. Like, Where do we go then from here, do you think, Alice? Like, how do we rebuild trust in ourselves, in each other, and in the systems?
So
I think
the changes have to be made at the centre. I think the changes have to be made in the government. They have to start being upfront and honest with us and showing us that what they're telling us is the truth is actually the truth. And over time, you learn to trust again. It's like in a relationship where somebody's disloyal or unfaithful. You can't just say, I'll never do it again. You've got to prove you'll never do it again. And then eventually you learn to trust them again. And I think this is the same. It doesn't start with the people who've been lied to. It starts with the liar. So start telling us the truth and we'll start believing you again. And that's what I think. But also, you know, equally, if you're not that passionate about it, for example, I have no desire to go jumping on a boat or whatever to go and prove whether or not the earth is flat. If you're not that passionate about it, equally, and you are the person being lied to, let it go, because life, it can become stressful and you don't need to let it eat you up. If you can't do anything about it or you don't really care about it that much, it is okay to let it go.
I think you're absolutely right. It's definitely okay to let it go and enjoy what you've got around you. I think so, you know, we try and distract ourselves. Like a lot of people will say that we as a human race are being distracted from truth or from all these things. But actually, we're really good at distracting ourselves from being here, from being present, from, you know what, we've got our family, we've got our friends, we've got each other. And I think we can get so obsessed with other things sometimes we forget to be here right now, enjoying this really, really tiny little dash of life that we spoke about on the other week's podcast. It's so important that we just, I know it's just so cliche to say, but I do feel it's so important to be open-minded with each other and kind to each other and understand that we've all got different beliefs. We've all got different theories, and you know, just be kind to each other. Like
I was just going to say as well, and forgive. You know, forgiving is a big thing. Like, people were mean to me during COVID, and I was probably a little bit internally mean to them. We only know and we only care about what matters to us. So if somebody went round fully vaxxed up, wearing a mask, and I don't agree with it, so what? Live and let live, let them be. It's okay that they believe something different than me. They didn't harm me. Let it go. Forgive them.
Definitely. I suppose there were things that I've changed my mind on over the years, and it's in both sides. There were things that I was absolutely certain about years ago that now I'm like, maybe not, maybe that was stupid. And I think that is being open-minded. So,
being open to change. So, right. Should we move on to our fuck it moments, Lisa?
Yeah, let's move it on to our fuck it moments. Helen.
So I've got one that was sent in if you'd like to hear it.
Yep, I would.
And she said it's okay to name her. So this lady is called Anita. She's actually a Be Sober ambassador.
Right.
And her fuck it story is that she has decided to go grey.
Oh, right.
So she's got long hair. And she'd had it dark, and she's going grey naturally. And initially, her husband asked her, I quote, "Has a seagull shit on your head?"
Why?
I have no idea. But she also thinks she looks a little bit like a granny. And there was a recent photo of her that was put out for an event she was doing where she likens herself to Mrs. Doubtfire. And I have to say, I can see some similarities.
Oh.
Yeah, and I did say this to her as well, but she took it lightheartedly. Her grey hair, I also have to say, is looking really beautiful. So I think that's a great fuck it story. She's been brave. She's gone against the grain, and she's doing what she wants to do.
I absolutely agree. I think it's a really brave one. I think especially now, when we spoke about this, didn't we, on like body image and stuff like that. And I have seen some amazing, beautiful, naturally grey haired women.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that yet.
I you know what? I'm going to have to
Stop
say
saying
it.
you haven't got any grey hairs. Stop
I haven't.
it.
Not got one. Look. Watch me do this now, and like a million people.
No, you haven't. Do you know what though?
But no, don't have one. And before people go, but you colour your hair. Look, that's roots. Look.
Are you gonna talk about your pubic hair?
What?
Well, because you just said no, you don't have one. I thought you might have been going to say I don't even have any grey pubes.
No, I wasn't going to discuss that, but I don't have any grey hairs anywhere, by the way.
Can I tell you a pube story?
And I'm very proud of it. For 45, I think it's just like, well, I don't even know if I can be proud. It's just purely genetic, but it ain't because my mum's grey, but go on.
So I'm going to tell you a hair story that was emailed in as well. So,
all right.
The lady was at the beautician's getting a Brazilian. She's been taken into a room, the doors closed, curtain pulled. Halfway through, doors get opened, and one therapist asks her therapist, who's currently waxing her, would you like a cup of tea? She hands her the cup of tea through the curtain, and she's got a cup of tea in there whilst...
I'm so glad you said through the curtain, because I thought...
Through the curtain, hands her a cup of tea whilst this client is in a smear-like position, minus the speculum, as she takes it. But what she did say was, on the plus side, at least I wasn't on all fours as another beautician had tried to get her into to get her tricky hairs.
Did she try to get her into, or did she get into?
She says tried to, but I reckon that we can infer that she did get her into.
Do you know what? I've got her.
Oh, no, another beautician had to get her into she was on all fours. You've got a story here, haven't you?
Well, it's not really a story, but a very similar thing. I remember deciding that I would go and get waxed, right? And it just shows that you get into these positions and you just do it together. Like, I talk about questioning things, right? Why did I not question this? So I went to get waxed, and literally she was like, oh, can you turn over for me? So I was like, yeah. So I turned over and she's like, no, on all fours. And I was literally on all fours on a bed while somebody waxed my bum hole. Like, and you know when you're there and you're like,
I was outside the room.
Yeah. Well, it happened a couple of times. I've done it a few times. Like, I didn't even just do it once. Like, whoa. But yet, just being on all fours, there's like, whoa. There'll be so many people that I suppose have done that. And then there'll be other people like, why? Why would you do that? But yeah, I just feel like it's such a vulnerable position to be. Somebody you've never met.
It is. It's awful. It's awful.
What did I read about? Go on.
I was going to say we've got a good fuck it moment though, haven't we, as well?
Oh, yeah, go on. You tell the fuck it moment, because I want to tell you something. I'm going to try and find it. Well,
so this week, Lisa and I are putting something together, a sound experience. I won't go into too many details, but it's really not ready. It's not ready at all. And
well, Lisa, the idea is there. So we've got the idea, and it's going to be incredible. We've been dead excited about it.
I just want to tell you all, this is like having an idea that you're going to make a machine that flies, but you've got no plans, no directions or instructions.
We've got a bit of plans. I've got plans.
Fag packet plans, literally a few ideas. Anyway, the point is that I get a text message the other night while I'm sat watching TV saying, we need to get our sound experience together. And I'm like, all right, why? Thinking, I actually thought what she was going to say is somebody else has had a similar idea. But no, she doesn't say that. She says, we've been booked and I've accepted. We're on in January at Rochdale Town Hall.
January the 15th, guys. The tickets are not on sale yet, but they will be. We are doing it.
The imaginary show, which will come together.
We're going to be doing it and you know what? If anybody does want to come, then they need to keep their eye out for these tickets, because they'll be rather reasonably priced, because we're doing it with as like a community thing, and it's a bit of a practice run for us. But the next step after the Rochdale Town Hall is Manchester and Gorton Monastery. So we will be
like Berlin and then Paris. We're off.
Yeah, why not? We'll just go. We'll look through our phone, and I'll look at all the pictures of organs I've taken over the years, and we will go and play in them places, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an immersive, beautiful, incredible sound experience like you've never ever felt before. We're going to be mixing with like the old and the new and the religious and the modern kind of like, it's just going to be incredible. Sound balls, organ, Rochdale Town Hall, 15th of January.
Can I just tell you, that is the plan. That is the limit of the plan right now. So we're getting together this Saturday to sort it. But yeah, that was our...
I'm going to ding some balls and she's going to...
So if you've got a fuck it moment, a story, or today's episode has brought up an opinion or a feeling for you, please email us. We can't share these without you. rewrittenpoduk@gmail.com. We do want to hear about them. Lisa, have you got your thing you want to share before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I've got it. Firstly, I can't believe that, it just didn't come up in conversation actually, so that's why I've not spoken about it. But did you hear about the comedian at the Fringe Festival in Scotland? Dan is called, from New Zealand, and basically he got over 1,000 people, this is people with inquisitive minds obviously, 1,000 people on a hill to watch him fold a fitted sheet. What do you think of that?
Well, I just think we're very impressionable, and that might show our curiosity. Do you know there was an experiment?
No, I know you want to move on. I want to talk about Dan and his sheet. You're going to have to wait.
I wouldn't have gone. No, I wouldn't have gone. Why would I want to see?
I would definitely gone. I watched a YouTube video once. Yeah, somebody once sent me a YouTube video because I don't know how it came up in conversation, but I must have been saying I find it really hard to fold a fitted sheet. So you kind of like fold it and then roll a bit because I don't know how to do it because it's got funny corners. So if somebody was saying like, come and watch me fold this fitted sheet, I feel like I would go. I'd be like, yeah.
But again, that's because it's something you passionately want to find out about. Maybe not passionately, but you want to find out about.
Passionately want to find out about it.
I mean, if you're not bothered, but I don't care less about folding a fitted sheet.
He did it actually as a marketing thing. So he was saying because he didn't really have a marketing budget for his show, he literally put like these posters up everywhere saying, come and watch me fold this fitted sheet. He did not expect over 1,000 people to turn up. And on the videos, Alex, when he folds it, he like slam dunks this sheet, right? And there's over 1,000 people and they are roaring. They're like, yeah! Like, honestly.
Did I tell you on the Davinia episode about the buzzer in the waiting room? Did I tell that story?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll tell it again in case you missed it or whatever. If you're bored, fast forward a few seconds. But this is like, and I saw this during COVID actually, just to round this up. They wanted to prove that people are really impressionable and will actually get involved in anything.
Oh, yeah.
So they did like a dentist or a doctor's surgery, and it was real members of the public, and they had a buzzer and a light go on every few seconds, and actors in there who would stand up, and then when the light and the buzzer went off, they would sit down. And eventually people were looking around as if to say what they're doing. They'd have like 2 or 3 doing it and then 2 or 3 not. And people would join in because they were like, oh, this is what we must be doing. And by the end of the experiment, there was a waiting room and it had none of the original people in there. And everybody was just standing up and sitting down because they'd been programmed to do it. That's kind of like that, isn't it?
It's so, well, the sheet isn't like that, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but the sheet is, it's like, come and watch me fold a fitted sheet. Why? Why?
That's just like saying, come and watch my show, or come and watch that. That's not like that. But I do think it's a really good experiment to show what happens. I feel like I know 100%. I would say, why are you standing up? I would.
Yeah, I would. And maybe that's the difference between us and people who don't question things. It's not necessarily about a right and a wrong. It's about your ability and your desire to be curious and ask questions.
Or even not that. I feel like a lot of things come into play in a situation like that. Not just confidence, nerve, anxiety, all of that. It's like, oh my God, are people going to think should I be doing this? Like, I think there's a lot. And I get that. And then
you do get that thing, don't you? Oh, can't ask questions. It's too late now.
Yeah.
It's like when you forget somebody's name.
It's all in your own head. You're just building it up in your own mind. Like, just showing
you forget someone's name in it. You know, like you've met somebody 3 or 4 times and you've forgotten the name. It's too late. You can't ask again. You can't ask the name after like the second meeting.
I've got some other stuff that I need to tell you of as well. And basically, I wanted to talk about this when I were on about the vaccines before, and that I didn't trust doctors, right? Because it goes really well with it. And I just wanted to know 2 things that I've read this week, and they're a little bit disgusting, but I thought we would share them.
And then we really are going, go on, I'm going to shut up.
We really are going. A GP has been done for putting his own semen in his female colleague's coffee. He's put. Oh, right. Let me just tell you this.
There's a documentary where a guy that was helping women with fertility treatment somewhere in America was leaving the room to do his business and artificially inseminating them, not with the donor sperm, with his own. And he's got, I think it was well over 100 offspring in this area. And now there's fears that there's that many of them, they might accidentally end up in relationships with each other. That's true.
Do you know what annoys me about this? Like, obviously it's a story. Then you've got a story, another one about a GP, and then somebody else we know would have a story. Don't tell me to trust my doctor. Like, don't tell me, because it's not all right. Basically, right, she noticed, I'm going to name him because he's a baddie. So if you ever come across him, you need to know, but he's probably in prison now. Nicholas Chapman, age 57, made the drink for his victim a number of times. She noticed it tasted salty and it left.
Don't, Lisa, don't. I'm leaving.
Don't left a thick, loopy substance in the sink.
That's a real heave. Stop it. Stop it. No, honestly,
Anyway, it went to court, right?
That's disgusting.
A court heard that he had previously been given a community order for a separate sexual offence. Why? Why is he even a doctor then? It's honestly, it's so disgusting. Anyway,
I can't stand stuff like that. I had an ice cream yesterday and I was halfway through eating it and there was a hair hanging out of it and it wasn't mine. That knocked me sick.
Oh, no.
It was a short grey hair. I'm hoping it was a cat hair because I don't know what it is, but I would rather have a cat hair or a dog hair in my ice cream than a human one.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's so...
Go on.
Anyway, basically, it's been filling up loads of little, like...
Why?
With his stuff, and then making her a brew and pouring it. She saved the cup. She got it like tested and found out that that's what it was. Oh, it's so
absolutely disgusted and violated.
I know.
Go on.
Like, I think he should be in prison for that. It just says it's been struck off the register. Like, what if he goes to work somewhere else and makes them a brew? They're not going to know, are they? So we will. Yeah, Nicholas Chapman. If you've got Nicholas Chapman, don't take a cup of tea off him. Anyway, and then, so I was telling Rob about this because I was like, I literally can't believe that happens. And he was like, well, did you hear about that surgeon who had his legs removed, accused of fraud? And a vascular surgeon carried out hundreds of amputation operations before having his own legs removed, right? In Cornwall, he's been charged with encouraging someone else to remove the body parts of others.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but
he's been accused of 2 counts of fraud by false representation and a charge of encouraging or assisting in the commission, namely grievous bodily harm. It's alleged.
Awful. That is
I don't know why it shocks me more. In Truro, I nearly lived there once.
But that is so awful that has actually given me nervous laughs. That is disgusting.
Do you know when it was? Between the 3rd and 26th of June, 2019. It made a false representation to insurers by claiming that injuries to his legs were the result of sepsis and not self-inflicted.
Why would you want him? Who in the right mind would want money enough to remove their own legs? What the hell?
I don't know, but that's really bad, isn't it? Former patients with any questions or concerns about their treatment can contact the Royal Cornwall Hospital's patient experience team.
That's awful. That's awful.
Oh my God, in 2020, this guy won the Against All Odds category at the Amplifon Awards for Brave Britons.
That is awful. That is really bad.
NHS, that. He worked for NHS. There's a picture of him. He's got no legs.
Stop saying it.
I can't believe it. But these are our doctors, guys.
Not all of them. I have to say, I've had a GP appointment this morning for something very minor, but my GP is amazing.
Did she give you a brew?
No. No, she
Right,
didn't.
okay, we're going. Right. As normal, we do not have all the answers. We don't even pretend to either, do we? We just have our lovely, crazy sometimes opinions. But yeah, please don't take this episode that we're trying to convince anyone of anything. We're just here to talk, to wonder, and to stay human to it all. And most of all, you've got mine and Alex's conversations that we kept secret for so long, like these.
Yeah, we've been wanting this for so long, but yeah. And if you've got a story or an opinion, please, like I said before, with your epic moments, with your opinion, with your stories, email them in, and don't stop listening to us just because we didn't wear masks and get vaccinated, please.
Yeah, please don't. And don't forget, if you're in the wellness world, holistic world, and you want to get serious about your business, please go check out IPHM. The link is in the show notes. And I can pretty much guarantee there'll be no doctors that are going to make you a brew that you don't want and chop off your body parts.
We'll be back next week with another juicy one, although I'm not sure what we're talking about next week. Are you?
No,
no decision. We'll just have to come and have a little listen, and if we've not been taken off air, we'll be talking about something anyway. So hit follow, share it with a friend who's not afraid to think something different, think for themselves. Please give us a Google review and an Apple review. Like us, love us, and we will see you soon.
Yes, stay curious.